Boy, can I help you?
Listen up. I'm bringing you the best content to ever exist in the door-to-door industry, from sales, leadership, recruiting, and personal development.
Why would I need that?
Because never before have we been able to collaborate with the top experts in their industries, sharing their secrets and techniques on what makes them the best.
Wait, who are you?
I'm your host, Sam Taggart, creator of the DDD Experts and DDD Con. Is there a place we can sit down?
Well, come on in.
Vanilla is the fastest way to increase your Google and Facebook reviews through text. With a 98% open rate, Vanilla Reviews is the simplest, cheapest way to interact and engage with customers. Visit us at vanillagood.com for more information.
Hey everybody, this is Sam Taggart with the DDD Podcast, and I'm coming at you with Justin Brown, who comes from the sports and athletics background. He was playing, trying out for NFL, played football for SUU, and then started knocking doors, doing the real sport, right?
That's right. Yes, sir.
And, this last year he did 700 total satellite accounts, which is more than Golden Door status. In fact, all 5 people that got Golden Door would have been within the same company. So that's, competitive juices hanging out.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's birds of a feather flock together or whatever, right? I don't even know if I didn't say, did I butcher that?
No,
Like,
I think you nailed it, yeah.
Anyway, so, you did football, all-star receiver, and then moved into the door-to-door space. And today we're going to be jamming on the objection handling and discipline. So if you're listening to this or watching this, this is all about how to knock in your own backyard, how to knock in your own domain, which I think is, I did solar, so for the solar people, the roofing people, anybody that's in their local market, because when I did alarms, there was no way. I was cruising out to Texas for a weekend just to knock doors because I wasn't disciplined enough.
Right.
And then getting to solar, I'm like, I'll just kind of cut it quits today. And we get that, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to jam on that and just how you were 700 accounts in your own domain. And this year, what's your goal?
Goal this year is 1,000 accounts.
1,000 accounts.
1,000 accounts.
Only one other person in mankind has done that, by the way. So you will be
Expectations pretty
amongst the beasts of beasts. So tell me a little bit about you. Like, what makes you different? What makes you tick?
Yeah, so obviously you kind of touched a little bit about it before, but I played sports like my whole life.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to play college sports. So when I got to that level, the next thing was obviously getting paid to play now, right? And so after my senior year, I ended up leaving a year early to train for my pro day, and pursued that route for a while. And then came to a point where it wasn't going to work out. Kept getting released, and then decided to hang up my cleats. What's crazy is once I did that, I had no plan B.
Just kind of your life revolved around football, probably.
Exactly, 100%. So I didn't know what I wanted to do, and so I feel like when I got approached by sales, that was the only thing that really kind of filled that void. And just the competitiveness, I guess, and the feeling that you get. This is the only feeling that replaces it. Yeah, for me at least. Yeah.
No, and it's so funny. I go around speaking and training, and all of what I train on is we're in a sport. So as long as you make your company feel like a sport, you're going to attract competitive people that want to win. And if there's a scoreboard up there, they will sell a lot more deals.
I agree.
Because it's a sport.
Absolutely.
So I love that. So this is now your new sport. You've obviously thrived in it, but what do you feel like makes you a little different? Like, what makes you unique to be 700 account rep, where the average satellite guy does what, 150, 100?
Yeah, I think the difference for me, in my opinion, was, I don't know if it was because I played college sports, and in my whole life I always had people saying, no, you couldn't do this, no, you couldn't get to this point, no, you weren't going to win any championships, you were going to break certain stat records, right? And then on the doors, a lot of people, they can't handle rejections over and over again. I feel like there would be a lot more people that, the ones that sold 100 to 150, they do a lot better if they knocked longer and they could handle more objections and more rejections.
If they could get hit and get back up.
Exactly.
It was me and Pee-wees. It was like running through the freaking line. I'm that scrawny little kid. And the tackle drills where you get up off your back and roll over and you're just boom, get plowed.
That sucked.
And it's just, you were taught playing football, probably just that it's okay to get hit and just roll it off and keep running. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? And I think it's so similar, and I'm excited to kind of talk about discipline and objections and that mindset around getting hit in the face every day in our own emotional way and get back up on the pony. I mean, it's such an interesting analogy is getting the tackling drills to what we do now.
Absolutely, it's a mindset.
It's a mindset. So fast forward a little bit. You don't do the whole summer thing. You decided to shift your business to be a little bit more year-round in your own domain. What made you kind of decide to do the knock here locally?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I feel like my first couple summers I did the whole leave to another state, 4 or 5 months out of the year. And then it got to a point to where I got married, have a kid now.
Congrats, by the way. 3 weeks old. Little love. Hashtag awesome wife.
So basically I was approached from Nathaniel about doing the year-round program, not having to leave, but just doing it in my backyard. And it's been a game changer. Being able not to have to stress about hitting a certain amount of deals in a short amount of time, but just making a blast throughout the whole year. And we will go on sales blitzes every once in a while, but it's been such a blessing just to do it year round.
Cool. So what gets you from, because I train on this. This is something that I train on that maybe debunk me here. Tell me how I'm wrong, because and that's okay, because obviously there's always like a different way, right? So I was trained, it's so hard to go from couch to doors. That is like a mental, like, all right, I'm chilling, watching Netflix, hanging out in the morning, to, all right, I'm gonna go into the battlefield and get my face kicked in. Like, you know what I mean? So like, What do you do? There's this like mental thing, because most of the people have a meeting, they get them fired up, and they've got this like emotional energy going on, and then they go hit the doors, right? Couch to doors, like, talk to me about that.
So I think that's when discipline really has to kick in. I think most managers or companies, they send guys from their local home state somewhere else just because
they remove.
Exactly, to avoid the distractions of knowing people and not being as comfortable. And so when it comes to being able to sell locally, like where I've lived or where I live, I feel like you have to realize that you can't let distractions get in your way. Like, you still have to set goals for yourself. You still have to tell yourself you're going to knock a certain amount of hours each day. Because if you don't, you're going to be, going and meeting up with buddies for lunch or going back and stuff like that. So it can definitely be a struggle if you're not disciplined.
So what do you do to stay disciplined? You know what I mean? Like, discipline is such a broad word that we use, and what do you find helps discipline? What creates discipline? Can that be learned, I guess, or?
That's a good question. For me, I hate looking on the leaderboard and not seeing my name at the top.
Okay.
And so, I tell myself I'm going to hit a certain amount of goals per day, and I won't go home or I won't leave until it's hit. So
it's kind of like, what's your goal today? You're not complacent with, so I guess if I were to hack these, it's you have a goal and you're so committed that you've written that goal in blood kind of thing.
Yeah.
Versus kind of like, oh, I'd love to one day maybe hit this, or, it's really just that number that I throw out. It's like, this is my goal, blood.
Right.
And then the second one you said was the competitive side. Like, you're committed to a certain leaderboard. I guess, like, is it number one? Like, I'm going to finish number one every day, or in the company? Is it like kind of tough? Like, how do you stay competitive in that setting?
Yeah,
because you're a lone wolf, kind of, in a sense. You have a little team or whatever, but like, It's not like you've got this big team that you're competing against. It's kind of you in your own world.
In my own element, yeah. So it really is. I mean, when I set goals and I don't hit them, I get really pissed off at myself.
Yeah.
And so I know that if I set certain goals and I don't hit them, I know how I'm going to feel about it. So just staying on the doors as long as possible until you hit those goals, I feel like, for me, has been the biggest game changer.
So is it kind of like, once I do 5, I go home? Or is it you knock till 9 no matter what type thing?
Yeah, so I'll set my goals high. So I'm saying I'm going to hit 7 or 10 deals today.
Okay.
So if I hit 10 deals by 5 o'clock,
you'll go home.
Then I'll go home.
Okay. No, that is one strategy. That's
for
what I'm
right,
saying.
for right now, because it is preseason.
Well, no, it's smart. No,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm like, a lot of people ask me, they're like, how long should I knock? I'm like, well, there's two ways. It's what could have you done if you would have stayed till 9? You could have maybe done 15 or
Absolutely.
16 deals in that day. Or if your strategy is I'm knocking all year, I commit to a goal of 10 every day.
Right.
And I'm so committed every day that I'll do those 10, then I'll go home.
Right.
Because I want a balanced life.
Well, and you've knocked in the summer, right? All summer
I've
before.
knocked preseason summers. I've
Right.
knocked
So and it's a grind. Like by the end of those, I mean, you're grinding for 4 months, right? And it can just be exhausting by the end of
yeah,
that
September. Dude, I never did extension. Like everybody's like, oh yeah, you're gonna do extension. I'm like, dude, I'm like burnt out, and it's a mental thing.
It is.
But kudos to those that can. I grind so hard for 4 months that I was like mentally just couldn't get myself. And so yes, I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
Very
So
much so.
that's why I'm doing it year round. I mean, it's like a marathon. You got to pace yourself, but still hit enough accounts to where it's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, if you're gonna do 1,000 accounts, like you can't just let a day be like, yeah, this week,
Right.
You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
set out a goal. I mean, now you're publicizing this to the world. You're gonna be on a big stage next year. You know what I mean?
Hold me
Like,
accountable.
yeah, that's why I'm like, I have an award for this at DDDCon. So make sure.
Oh, it's separate.
No, it's like a special award you get on the big stage. So
I like it.
yeah, I mean, and I will say this was the #1 dude in all of satellite. Like, good on you. You know? Or you could not. I mean, or not.
Yeah, it's true.
But I'm just throwing the carrot out there. If you know what I mean. Anyway, so tell me about kind of your schedule, because I think discipline has to also do with schedule. So what's your routine? How do you stay kind of in a groove? Schedule hacks, I guess.
Yeah, so every morning, me and the guys that I have currently, we'll wake up and we'll actually go do something active in the mornings just to get up. And then we'll hold meetings, we'll set goals.
Active meaning like a gym or play ball or?
Yeah, so since it's been snowing recently, we've been going to the gym and we'll come here. We'll go we'll play golf for a little bit in the morning, just do something in the morning to get together.
Okay.
Just team bonding experiences and stuff like that. And then as a team, we'll set goals and then we'll just kind of go out, yeah.
Cool. So you settle a team, you go out. What time is going out? Like when is?
So I like to start by like 9:30, 10 o'clock.
You're on the doors by 9:30, 10.
Yeah.
So, but nobody's home during those times.
So it's a good point. So I feel like older people in today's society, older people are the ones that have TV still, right?
Yeah.
It's satellite. So more times than not, the people that I'm
Wanting
seeking
to
out,
sell?
they are on.
But I thought you can't sell old people. Old people are hard to talk to on the doors. They don't like door-to-door people.
So who's
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I get these all the time, leading people. I'm totally dumb, right? I know the answer to this. But it's so funny. I get people like, oh, I can't sell old people.
That's
true.
true.
I can't knock in the morning. Mornings, I only knock from 5 to 9 because that's when people are home. And I'm literally going, okay, we're talking to the one of the top satellite guys in the country, and he's just debunked both of those belief patterns that a lot of people have.
No,
See what I'm saying?
That's a good point. And I feel like most people don't knock until at least 1 o'clock or at least until 2 o'clock. And I used to be the same way, but once I took it to, I took it to myself to actually find out if that was like a myth or
It's a myth.
It's a myth. More people are almost home from 10 to 5 than from 5 to 9.
Isn't that
it's a numbers game. The more doors you knock, the more people you're going to come in contact with.
Okay, so how do you prospect during the day? What do you do to stay prospecting and making sure you're efficient with the morning hours to get the most out of those? Like, do you have any hacks on prospecting?
Yeah, I research, the day before, I'll research area to find out kind of what hood I want to knock in. When I am out, I look for cars being outside. There's certain things that I feel like being able to see what kind of car is out there, or if the lights are on or anything like that. So I'm not wasting time knocking on doors that I feel like they wouldn't be home in the first place.
Okay, so just skipping the doors that aren't home.
Right.
So tell me kind of what other things. So let's say you're knocking, and somebody calls you because your family party, your wife has a thing, and you got to watch the kid, or you know what I mean, like. How do you balance kind of when to say no and when to say yes to the distractions? That reason why we don't knock in our backyard is because we got to be so on and just boom. But like, what things do you do, or how do you balance the yes and the no's to like friends calling, hey, you want to go golfing this evening? It's like,
yeah, no, I feel like I've made it a point to tell, my wife, my family, my friends that they know that I'm at work.
Even though you're 15 minutes down the road, you know what I mean? Like,
right. Wait, I don't like. Even my wife will tell you. So we went on a honeymoon.
Okay.
For a week in Mexico, and it was hard for me to enjoy it just because I wanted to work. I feel like I was itching to be on the doors. I feel like, and so I'd rather work and see success than enjoy a round of golf for a day, you know what I'm saying?
So it's kind of like you've just trained yourself over the years. What's a priority?
Priorities. Yeah.
It's making it a priority to be successful.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people say they want to be successful, but in reality, it's like they prioritize everything above the one thing that makes them successful. In the sense of wealth, right?
Well said, yeah.
And I think a lot of times we don't ever look at it that way. It's like, oh, I complain about I can't make rent payment, and I complain about never having what I want, and I'm sitting there like, but you prioritize not making rent payment based on your actions. You prioritize
Actions
everything.
speak a lot.
Yeah, you prioritize everything over actually producing.
Right.
So I think that's an interesting principle. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. Let's go to the actual door approach and objections, and this whole idea of you get tackled, you get back up. Like, it's just going to happen, right? And in Utah, people are the nicest and the meanest.
There's no gray area.
There's no gray area. You're like, you just listened to me for 20 minutes and then gave me a glass of water and so nicely told me no.
Right.
I almost would rather if you just said no right at the beginning. You know what I mean?
True.
You're like, you're one of these, aren't you? You
Yep.
just won't buy, but you appreciate what I'm doing. So thank you.
And that's why it's good to get to the point so you're not having to waste time on those.
Oh, you could waste so much time in Utah. It's so funny. And then you get the biggest, like the meanest, and you're just like, where did you come from? And it's
a
the
bad
polarity.
day.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's weird. Like, you're at least consistent East Coast. They're all just dicks. Texas, most of them are pretty nice, and then you got the big old farmer, just like big Texan buff dude that's just like, I'm a shoot you kind of guy. And you can deal with that.
That is so true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like you have those two categories. Salt Lake or Utah, if you've knocked here, you could probably account for this. I swear. It's like dick or nicest person in the world.
No in between.
No in between. Okay, so now let's talk objections. So let's work through. So give me a couple, I'll give you a couple objections. Let's just go through the general ones that you're going to get with any industry. Not interested, right? So let's focus on that one first, because that one's so obvious. So you knock my door. I'm like, hey, honestly, just not interested right now. What are some of the hacks or lines that you'd use to overcome that?
So I feel like it was a lot harder when I was selling anything other than satellite to overcome that specific objection.
Okay.
With satellite, I'm knocking on homes that already have TV. Like, I'm not having to talk them into getting something they don't already have.
But they still will say not interested, right? Hey, not interested. So it's like, you already have TV. So how do what
so
do you
if
say?
the customer just straight tells me I'm not interested, you have to ask the right questions, because it's the iceberg. I mean, they're not going to tell you exactly what's wrong, so you kind of have to find out for yourself. And it takes asking the right questions to really find out why they're not interested. Because if I'm saving them money, if I'm giving them better channels, and I'm giving them better equipment, why wouldn't they be interested? And so I feel like asking specific questions will get out the real reason of why they don't really want to sign up.
So what are some of those questions? Because I'm sure they apply. What's so funny, solar, they already have energy, right? Like pest control, most people already have pest control or bugs or something. Or most industries, like a roof, it's like you already have a roof. It's like, I'm not interested. I know you're not interested. You already have a roof. It's about solving the problem that they don't even know they have yet. So it's so funny because we always think like, oh, well, with us, it's easier. You've just found how to ask the right questions to find what's beneath the tip of the iceberg. Right?
Exactly.
So what are some of those questions that you found you're like, okay, let's hit them with this?
So in I think the biggest thing is why people don't want to change providers or sign up in the first place is because they don't like change.
Okay.
They don't want to get used to something new because it's harder for them to relearn certain channels.
Yeah.
And so I just let them know, hey, Dish does have the voice remote, so you don't need to worry about memorizing the channels anymore, right? Just being able to build the value of the equipment and the customer service and what you can provide for them versus who they currently have.
So it's overcoming this change thing. So realizing not interested means I'm just not up for change right now. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I just don't really want to go through this process. Like,
exactly, because TV's usually at the bottom of their priorities.
yeah, it's like I got bigger fish to fry right now and not on my priorities.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So what are some other questions that like uncover this? Like, so you're like, okay, look, it's really not that hard. It's gonna actually make life easier. But like, anything else?
Usually I'm pretty just bold with my customers, and I just, why aren't you interested? You know, have them kind of tell me, and then just kind of keep building on what they say.
Love that.
And eventually trying to get into the home to sit down with them and it's just go over the pros and cons.
Yeah, it's like, look, why are you not? Are you just saying that, or do you actually know what you're not interested in? Like, why are you, like, explain to me why you're not interested.
Right.
And if you can't, then let's go through pros and cons. Then tell me you're not interested, and I'll leave. That's okay.
Just hear me out before
Hear
you
me
boot
out. Yeah, hear me out before you boot me out.
Yeah.
Like, I wanna go through this, and then
Right.
we can decide. And that's important. I think a lot of people, they start backpedaling real fast when they hear not interested, and they're like,
100%.
I've lost it, instead of like, lean into that.
Yep.
Like, let's figure this out, man.
So, and you just nailed it on the head. So even when I first started, when somebody was like, I'm not interested, I said, okay, have a nice day, and I'm on to the next door.
Yeah, well, and
Because I didn't want to be too pushy or that, you know, but
a lot of people
that.
can relate to that. A lot of people can relate to that. And the reason I say that is whether they're doing it that obvious, meaning I'm not interested, oh man, okay, see you later. You know what I mean? They maybe try one more time, or they try like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to make them pissed off. It's kind of like, then they'll walk away. And I think the most common mistake for a door-to-door rep is that.
And I feel like that's why reading body language is huge, because you can kind of tell they're just saying they're not interested, but the body language they give
It's still saying, I'm still open.
exactly 100%.
Isn't that weird though?
It is.
It's funny you say that. It is so funny you say that, because we just did this podcast, Body Language, on Monday.
Okay.
And just picking up on the cues, if they're just uncomfortable with a stranger and their way of defense is saying not interested. But it's like it's like, no, you're just really uncomfortable with the situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'll help you feel more comfortable with the situation, because I promise at the end of this, you'll be like, thank you so much for serving me.
Absolutely.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love that. So let's go to objection. Hey, you're the 10th guy that's come by here. I've already talked to you guys. What do you do to deal with that?
So if they're saying that somebody's already came by to talk to them,
Oh, I've talked to the dish guys. I've talked to the roofer. I've talked to the solar dude.
I usually would just say, well, were they able to help you out? Like, what were they able to do for you? Did they take care of you?
Oh, no, we told them no.
Oh, why is that?
Honestly, we're just happy with what we have.
Okay, so if we can set you up to where we can get you better equipment, obviously save you a lot of money a month with not losing any current channels you have, that wouldn't be something you'd be interested in?
Not at this time.
Why is that?
Boom! I love that. I love how you're just like, I'm coming at you, instead of like, oh, okay, like.
Yeah, no, it comes to a point where it's like, I'm not going to be too pushy, but I'm not going to leave until they say, okay, you need to leave.
Yeah, it's either I'm shutting the door on you, or I'm still talking.
Yep.
Cool, I love that. So it's really just, and the psychology of what you just did is powerful, because you said, hey, they've obviously took care of you, right? Almost like, are you an idiot? Like, why did you not? And is that what you're doing? Like, that's what I read, right?
Yeah.
So I guess explain why you say, oh, have they already?
So it's somebody saying that they've already been around here, so it's like, oh, well, then you've already been taken care of, right? They already helped you out. Obviously, they haven't.
Yeah.
They're just saying that to get me off the door, and so I'm just kind of trying to say whatever I can to get them more opened up, more time on their doorstep. The more I'm going to be able to slowly talk to them and figure out the real objection of why they haven't done anything yet.
And I think a lot of people, understanding what the customer's trying to do is important in this objection. By me, like, I'm a customer, so I think by me telling you, oh, I've already talked to the guy and we told him no, that's me telling you, that's a softer way for me to tell you no. And they think that you're going to hear the no, but what you're hearing is the opposite, and it's surprising.
It's the opportunity.
It's the opportunity versus what they're trying to do as customer, and understanding that dance. It's understanding they're coming at you from a, hey, we want to push you away, and you're seeing it as like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There comes to a point where you hear no's a lot, to where you just have to train yourself to not even know what that word is.
Yeah, you're like, what? Like, oh, so they set you up, right?
Oh, cool.
So you're already taken care of. They're like, no. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Act surprised.
Yeah, it's that, like, you act surprised, and then they're just like, oh, I thought that was going to work. I thought that was going to get him off.
Right. So I had so when I first started, I've had trainers that I've seen that would get into homes, and the customer just like, no, like, get the F out of my house, blah, blah, blah. And then slowly but surely, they would just ask the right questions and then finally sign them up after going from the extreme of the customer just wanting to get out of the house to asking the right questions to eventually signing them up.
No, and it happens all the time. I've had customers apologize. Hey, dude, so sorry I was kind of a dick at the beginning. And you're like, thank you for acknowledging the fact that you were a dick at the beginning. Like,
but now they love you.
Yeah, and now they're just like, dude, call my brother, he needs this, or whatever. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
It happens all the time. So I think it's like, if reps were listening, if you're listening to this, here's the nugget. If you can help yourself envision that situation when he's being the dick and telling you no, and you're thinking, I know that's what you're telling me, but it's okay. You'll hear me. You'll love me in a minute.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's what you need to tell yourself.
And you're telling yourself that. You're feeling the end result of like high-fiving, getting the sale done.
Yeah.
It's going to help your confidence remain true instead of like lose all confidence and hear all these no's and just keep getting beat up and depressed.
Exactly.
That's the nugget. You know what I mean?
And I feel like it's how you approach every single door. Like for me, every door that I knock, in my head, I'm getting that deal.
Yes.
So, and I can take that to sports because every ball that's thrown to me, I'm catching. 100%.
Like, I don't care where it's at, I'm going to find that thing.
And that's how I approach the door is like, this is a sale, this deal. So it's going to take a lot for the customer to get me off that door.
And how often do you see reps doing just kind of like waiting for the sale? It's almost like they're like, I hope somebody's the lay down today.
A lot more than I would like to have on, obviously,
your team,
on my team. But it is hard because it takes a while for you to understand the fact that there's so many more deals to be had if you just ask the right questions, use the right body language.
Because you could go talk to the same person tomorrow that the guy said no to homeboy, and you go back tomorrow and you were just 2-3 more persistent, and you were mentally there saying, that's a deal.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
All the time. So if you're listening to this, it's like, remember that. Remember that. Because oftentimes, if we don't tell ourselves every door is a yes, we're telling ourselves every door is a no.
Right. And I think a big thing is just not taking what customers say personal. I feel like a lot of reps, when customers say certain things on the doors, they get offended or they'll take it personally, it gets to them, and then the next door it's, you know what I'm saying? So
100%.
Just being enthusiastic and excited about what you do, it'll rub off on the customer.
So true. So one more objection and we'll kind of wrap up. So what about this one? I don't have time. Let's just talk the door approach time one. Hey man, super busy, just maybe come back later or something.
Yeah, which actually happens a lot.
That's
a huge common one.
Let's think common.
I think how I handle that is I tell them I know that it's not a priority for them real quick. I just tell them that it'll take about 2 minutes. We just need to get inside and I just need to see the receiver box and see what we can do. If they just keep saying, oh, I don't have time, they'll come back. I don't like going to go backs because the chance of them working out is almost just a waste of time. You read their body language to see if it's going to be worth coming back. But more times than not, I'll just let them know, hey, the promotions that are going on right now aren't going to happen in the future. So if we can take care of you right now, it's going to save you a lot of money up front.
So it's just giving them a reason to listen to you now.
Yeah, sense of urgency.
Yeah, it's like, I will make it worth your time and money to do it now versus make me come back.
Right.
And that's the principle, right?
Absolutely.
And then the other one is, like you said, reading into the body language. It's kind of like, you know if they're really busy, or do they just tell that to everybody that comes to their door?
Yeah.
Because you can read that. And I think a lot of reps don't see it. I'm like, I'll go shadow reps all the time. And I'll be like, just walk inside. But he's telling me not interested. Or not, I don't have time. And I'm like, he's just saying that. Look at him.
No, he's chilling.
He's chilling, dude.
He's not pulling out of the
He's smoking a
byway.
doobie, just chilling, and he's telling you he's busy. And you're taking it as he's busy. No, he's smoking a doobie. You can see the situation,
Right.
dude.
So you got to pique their interest
Yes.
to make it worth their time.
100%.
Yeah.
So how do you make it worth your time? That's the principle. So now, I guess let's kind of wrap up with this. What advice, obviously coming from bad A sales rep, one of the top in the business, what advice would you give to that up-and-coming aspiring sales rep? You know, the one that's looking to be the bad A, that's like, oh, I'm taking my game from 200 this year to 500, or I want to be a Golden Door winner. Or,
Yeah.
You know, what would you tell them?
I think the best advice that's been given to me that I could give to somebody else is literally work harder than anybody else. It does pay off. And sales, like like everybody else in the industry knows that it is a numbers game. So the people that knock the most doors, the people that get in front of the most people, are the ones usually being handed that award at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
And being able to set goals, weekly, monthly, yearly, and making sure no matter what that you're going to hit those goals is going to be the biggest game changer between the 150 rep to the 300 to 600 rep.
Love that. Amen. Well, I appreciate
So-
Dude, Justin, I appreciate you just jamming with me.
Finally, I finally got on here, man. I've always been,
No, this is good, dude. This
So-
has been fun. So thanks so much for jamming. This will
Absolutely.
be good. So if you guys love this, leave a comment, write a review, whatever. Hit them up on Facebook or Instagram. But appreciate this, and go apply it. The thing that I invite people to do with
Do it.
these, I'm like, do it. There's a difference between the listeners and the sayers and the doers, right? It's kind of
well
like,
said. Yeah.
let's go.
Wise
Okay.
words.
So appreciate it. Much love, guys. We out.